Hi, thanks for your interest in FUNDESUR Lee, our program promoting early literacy and a love of learning across southern Honduras. Today I'm going to show you the back end of how this story came to life and how we are creating wonderful stories that transform education for children across southern Honduras. This beautiful story was inspired by just an idea of one of our students, Justin, who had a cow named Regalo or gift. And he told us this story, and we were able to, with the use of AI and some special love and attention, bring it to life for him to see in real action and to read this story as a way that he promotes his early literacy. Let me walk you through this from start to finish so that you can see what we're doing to bring culturally relevant books to kids across Honduras and spark that joy of learning. So we're going to go over to VS Code. This is a very blank screen. It's a little bit daunting. I was very new to developing this and received some guidance, but was able to help us solve a problem where we had a challenge getting access to early literacy, pre-kinder to third grade books for children in our schools. And now we have over 300 brilliant stories that we're sharing in our communities that kids are able to read and see stories that look like them, characters and experiences that they're related to. And we're really excited to share how this came to life. So let's do this in action. Let's create a new story idea. So we can do this in English or in Spanish, but for case of observation, I'm going to do it in English. I'm going to say, I want to create a new story about losing my first tooth. Now, while I am not Honduran, the relevance is that we are going to be taking this and turning it into a story that's relevant for Honduran children in their context. I want this to be a early reading book, so it shouldn't be too complicated. It knows what that is, and we have different types of books that I can show you while this is working. And I'm going to send it on its way. Say, please write and illustrate this book and add it to our library. I hope you're still following. It wasn't that complicated of instructions, but we're going to see all of the back end. So as it works using Claude AI in VS Code and Python, and it's also drawing on a bit of Gemini for the illustrations, it's going to read the previous examples and tell us what it's going to do. While it's doing that, I just want to show you what we built using AI in the background, where we can add audios, we can add different images for inspiration. We have all of this already created. So now the background to making a book come to life is just a matter of some tokens, some patience, and a little bit of checking and verifying, because we know that it's really important when you use AI that we're confirming that things turn out the way that we expect them to. So while we do this, let me show you around the different types of books. As I mentioned, one of the biggest challenges we were facing was getting access to early literacy books. What do I mean when I say that? What I mean is that we're talking about early learners that are just learning their first, we got to make sure we're advancing our story while I show you that. So sometimes it will interrupt our video, but then you can see it in action. It says, at what level do we want to have this book? So as I see over here, there's different levels, and I'll talk you through. These are different phonetic levels and levels of complexity for teachers to read out loud, as well as for students to read themselves. And this allows a teacher to move students along in these books in a way as they advance in their knowledge, skills, and comprehension. So it's asking me if it's going to be a kid reading it on its own. It's about 8 pages, independent learning, vocabulary. So that could be a good idea, or it could be a teacher read aloud. I'm going to allow its recommendation. I've fed a lot of information in the back end so it knows, based on research and evidence of education and how education is and literacy is taught in Honduras, what this should look like for students. So we're going to let it keep going. Go back to our steps. So we start with semilla. We're just a tiny little seed, and then we develop into a raíz, we build into a rio, mangle, and guara. So this is going to lead us from 3 years old up until 3rd grade. And we have some read alouds. Teacher read alouds are going to be a bit more complex. Let's keep this going. So a teacher read aloud might look like this. So this is actually an example of one illustration that was drawn by an attendee at one of our recent events, Julie Harper. She drew this. We were able to feed it to AI to inspire this beautiful book that talks about cultural remedies and experiences for medicine in Honduras. So each of our books are going to have a principal question. We want to promote comprehension as we are also advancing knowledge of literacy and decoding skills and phonics in Spanish. Spanish is a very phonetic language, but we have a main question that we want the kids to go through the book thinking about, and we have some different vocabulary that they'll learn along the way. For those of you who don't know Spanish that well, I'll teach you that remedio is like a remedy, and generación is generation. So we're talking about the way that medicine. So generación means generations, and we're going to be talking about how medicine is taught across generations. Now there are ways to bypass those asks so that it can generate multiple books at a time, either at random or through ideas that we provide to it. But for right now, I'm letting you see the back end of how things happen in real time. All of the things that it's going through to create and look at different types of books to learn and not start from scratch, because we've built some sample examples, and so we don't want to be repeating stories, nor do we want to be making some of the same mistakes. So as you go through the book, you'll see that there is going to be some questions that it's going to ask you. So since this is a teacher read aloud for kinder 1st grade, you will see a pause and stop. So in the pause and stop, what you'll see is a comprehension question. It says, ¿Qué hacía Doña Flor tan pronto Camilo llegaba a su casa? What did she do when Camilo got home? She said, ¿Qué te duele, criatura? What is paining you? What hurts you? And so she's looking to understand his challenges so that she can provide a remedy that's appropriate for it. So as the teacher starts reading the stories, you will see different questions throughout. And I didn't skip over this error by accident. I want to come back to this so that I can tell it to fix it, make sure that it is getting rid of the extra hand as I go through the book. Let's check on our book, our new book, and see how it's doing. All right. So all of the instructions are currently in Spanish. Originally they were in English, but I modified them because over time we're going to be building more stories inspired by kids in Honduras. Okay, so here it goes. I'm going to let it run for a little bit. We'll run it in quick speed so you can see what it's doing, and for those who do know coding, we'll be able to understand it a little bit better. Okay, so the book is now in our library. This is an early reading book, 8 pages in level Rio, which is river. So right now, we need to make sure that we check it out, we give some feedback, and see if we want to make any modifications. Here we go, mi primer diente. All right, right off the bat, I can see that there's an error with the illustrations. It's not fitting the full box, but let's just take a look at the illustrations as a start. So we have what very much looks like a Honduran home, some mangoes, some chickens, and we have our character up front. Let's see how it looks. This is Emilia and her patio. All right. Mira, mamá se mueve, dice orgullosa. So she's talking about her tooth and how it's moving, and she's showing it to her mom. I see another potential error. We have a mom in here, and we have a mom out here and over here. So there's definitely something that we need to notice. Oh my gosh, her tooth was on the corn. And so I go through the book and I note the potential errors because right now we're seeing not a tooth, but actually we're supposed to be missing a tooth, and we don't see that. And it looks like she bit off the corn, which is a little bit. I don't think she was that strong to eat it. There's her tooth and her mom. One of the challenges that we've identified with AI is character consistency. So I see that the mother changes in terms of her facial features and her hair. So I have fed this feedback to AI before, but it's always important to re-up the feedback and remind it and say, hey, can you remember what I gave it to you before? So at the end, it automatically comes up with at least two, generally three comprehension questions that can be utilized for the teacher to ask questions, for the student to read and think about. So it asks, here's a personal question. ¿Se te ha caído algún diente? ¿Qué hiciste con él? Have you ever lost a tooth? What did you do with it? And these stories that connect to students are really important to make them engage with reading. And then on the last page, we have a little bit more about the project. On some of the books, you'll actually see some activities that you can do. On the read aloud book, let me give you an example. Okay, let's go to the last page here. So these are going to be question activities that the teacher can ask the students to do. So it's a way of them actually engaging with the content beyond the reading and the comprehension questions to make sure that they're actually connecting it to their lives, doing activities. And so in this one it says, make a list of abilities and knowledge that exists in your community that you don't read in books. To cure, heal with plants, to build, to fish, to care for animals. So this is about connecting them with the richness of their cultural history. We're going to keep iterating on this and these books and the illustrations over time, but I wanted to show you what this looks like and what we're building, and just to get you sparking with an idea of what it could turn into. We want to motivate a new generation of authors, illustrators, and kids who love learning. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts at Friends of FUNDESUR, FUNDESUR, and FUNDESUR Lee, our new initiative, for just joining us in making children know that their stories and their realities deserve to be showcased in literacy and helping us promote this love across Honduras. Find us at friendsofundesur.org to learn more and to follow and see as we keep developing new books, fixing them with AI, and bringing these and joy to kids across Honduras. Thank you so much.